Today on the Mario Maker Museum show, we're going to be going through the second set of levels designed by the Mario Maker user Bunny. And the first set was called Buzzy Basin, and that had 5 levels culminating in kind of a final castle area. And this set is called Torta Hills, which includes some theoretically secret zones, or they would be secret if they were on the map, as well as what looks like a ghost house and then a final boss. So let's get into the first level here. They don't look like they have a lot of playthroughs yet because they were just updated with checkpoints. So let's see here. I'm assuming it's going to be a turtle-based series of levels because it's called Torta Hills, but I guess we'll find out. It's good use of kind of interior, I don't know what you'd call it, interior movement requirements. So presumably, I need this somewhere. Let's see. Okay. So I probably have to go up here. Well, okay. Springs have always kind of been my bane in this game. Okay, well that's, I guess, a secret, but it's not what I needed to do. So I'm presumably missing something then. I don't think you can break these blocks, can you? No. Aha! Okay. So that's what I needed. I wasn't patient enough. So we learned in the original levels that you really need to utilize hats if you want to succeed. So I think I've actually got to aim this well to get up there. I probably shouldn't have done that. Or that. Well, that's okay. So even though this has a decent completion rate, the difficulty curve is probably slightly higher than the other Buzzy levels. I also forgot that the spike shell will just completely destroy any question blocks that I hit. So, progression through the level seems pretty reasonable once I understood what to do. A neat little secret with the 1-up in the beginning. And there's the checkpoint flag, which also makes you big. That's cool. That's the first time I've actually used a checkpoint flag. So yeah, I'd say that 71% completion rate is not deceptively high, but I would say that I've played levels that were a lot easier than this that had lower completion rates, but I think this is a very reasonable kind of World 2 design. But it definitely requires mastery of a lot of the components that were taught in the first set of levels. All in all, that's a pretty neat start to the zone. Well, the second level here has a much lower completion rate than the first for this zone, at 30%, which is actually the lowest, even though it's a small sample size, it's the lowest completion rate we've seen yet, so we'll see how this goes. Again, notice the multi-level design. I got caught up talking about that, so I wasn't watching for that turtle, but there's a lot of variation in how things are situated, which kind of creates a visually interesting layout. You know, he could have put one turtle there, but he put two. Things like that, or even if they're not consciously noticed, you know, there's a subconscious kind of enjoyment value, I'd say, based on that. As well as using a shell to knock a bunch of guys into the ether. And since this is an intro level, the coins still kind of mark the jumping path. For those of us who are unsure. Now, I'm not sure why this had such a low completion rate. I think that level was actually easier than the last. Certainly shorter. But that having been said, still very enjoyable, but a noticeable step up in difficulty. Alright, here's Torta Hills 3, which looks like it meshes some of the inside design and the outside design from the first two levels of the zone. And it has a much lower completion rate at 8%. I learned the hard way last time that those Goombas can certainly come back to life. So the cape definitely makes navigating these areas easier than it would otherwise be. So I'm going to guess that we're supposed to run across here. I don't know if there's a rush to get higher with that P-switch active. No, it doesn't look like it. That was a pretty extreme fall for that Goomba. I probably didn't want that fire flower, actually, but... I think probably some of the Torta theme comes from the prevalence of those sets of flying turtles that seem to be everywhere. Oh, this... I don't know why I'm not able to grasp on. There we go. Oh my gosh. There we go. For some reason that was deceptively hard. Next up we have Torta's Secret, which in the kind of Mario World mythos would have been achieved by finding a different way out of one of the levels. And typically they were harder than some of the other levels, but it doesn't look like it'll be the case here, but we'll see. And it has some elements that weren't from this world exclusively, like the beetles, and that's also common to the secret worlds, where they kind of would mesh elements. This kind of brings back the spike helmet necessity from the last set of levels. You can't succeed without it because you have to bust your way out. I don't actually know how to break these. Can you spin jump on them? Can a turtle shell hit them? I might have needed whatever was in there. Let's see. So that's not sufficient. Is there a way to throw the hat off? Or lose it? I guess I could get hit and lose it. Oh, well. Maybe not. Oh, okay. So you can actually get a second one. So I may actually need a spiked shell to destroy this, but I'm not sure. Well, that doesn't do it. Oh, obviously. Not thinking. That was kind of sad. Slide back up here, and I'll bet this has something in it. I like that. Does it kill those? No. I like the use of the extraneous vines, kind of for effect. You obviously don't need to climb on them, but just like the different layered platforms in the other levels, it kind of creates a more visual immersion with the sets of levels. Next up, we have Torta Hills 4, which looks like the requisite jumping level from the zone. So let's see what this one's all about. So, it requires some ability to maneuver Mario, but it's not a ridiculous skill testing jumping puzzle, which is nice. But neither can you afford to be careless. There's the checkpoint here. Which actually reminds me, I don't know if there was a checkpoint in the last level. This level does a good job of anticipating exactly when I'll need a mushroom. So let's see here. Okay. So they're not deceptive coins yet. Again, there are a number of areas here where if you're not careful, you certainly could fail to succeed. I think I have to do this, yeah. Or I don't have to, but... I should have gone up on that higher platform to see what was up there, just out of curiosity. Seems like the kind of... Nope, no, just... gaping chasm. Next up, we have Haunted Waffle House 1, which looks very interesting, actually, from this mini-map. And it's the third to last level in the Torta Hills sequence. So let's see what this guy throws. Flying Buzzy Beetles. Really interesting. Oh. I have the dubious honor of being the first person to die there. So let's see what's in the door here. So he's throwing something different, but I'm not sure I can actually get down. Interesting. So yeah, this is following the hallmark of a lot of ghost houses where there's a puzzle element. It looks like I'm in the third of the rooms now, and this may be the fourth. We'll see what he throws. He throws moles, which are my least favorite enemies. Now the question is... Oh, okay. So in one of these, presumably, getting the cloud gives you the exit. That's very clever. So this should take us back to the first one. Logically, anyway. With the flying Buzzy beetles. Yep. So now we can search this pipe. And this is not the one. Unfortunately, I've used up all my my safety mushrooms. And this is going to be the trickiest, I think. Oh no, I got him before he centipeded. So I'm going to guess this is the one. Because centipedes are the nastiest. So now we have some dry bones and ghost dodge. Sure if there's another... Oh, there is. Kind of another puzzle here. So this is a secondary kind of puzzle where he wants you to navigate through these, I guess, in the order they appear, but that can't be right. Well, I guess it is the order, it's just not the exact order. This is really well thought through, though. It's a fairly non-lethal puzzle that requires memory. It doesn't punish you if you go down the wrong pipe, but overall, that's a very well-designed first ghost house. It kind of introduces the concept of what they're all about, introduces the puzzle component, and doesn't kill you if you make. So this is the second to last course in the zone, Torta Hills 5. And it looks like a return to the multi-layer platforming that we saw in 2 and 3 and Top Secret, or Torta Secret, I guess. It also has some more of the jump elements that we saw in the most recent one before the ghost house. Just the halfway flag. I doubt I have to keep... Yeah. So now I have to navigate back down. And further down. Oh, didn't mean to kick it that way. And even further down. Unfortunately, a mushroom to stop me from insta-dying the next time I make a mistake. And then a reward zone for the player, where you get to knock a bunch of Goombas down, because that's what they're designed for. And then finish the level. So all in all, I'd say the first level in this set was almost the hardest one so far. Although the ghost house could be tricky until you figure out what's going on. Alright, the final level here is the Airborne Machinists. And it actually looks very clever based on this mini-map. Let's see how it plays out. I have high expectations based on all the other levels I've played so far. use of flying enemies and cannons to kind of jointly create the danger. Wow, I haven't seen one of those things walking in a long time. Wonder what that... Oh my gosh. Those things are terrifying when they get to travel on rails. I think it's almost safer just to... Oh, I anticipated the fire too soon. That's alright. I bet there's a... Nope. Alright, so we know... Oh, that's a little sloppy. So we got a little careless in there. At first I thought it was set up in such a way that you could kind of safely run through the bottom while avoiding the enemies, but that turns out not to be the case. And you actually have to be more intelligent. Here it looks like if you go up and down, you can actually navigate. So there was a pattern there. That one actually followed and taunted me the entire time and ended up being lethal. So here's a sequence of mini ships that we saw. Fortunately, I hit the flag. So it looks like you have to use the cannons to travel between the ships. So there's kind of a skill up, so to speak. You have to have another skill to do that. How far is that going to go? Oh. Safely through this part, and now the boss fight, which makes perfect sense when you see it. Okay, I can probably just avoid that one and run away. So you just have to get on one. Very well done. The the boss fight was actually not too bad. Very reasonable and very theme appropriate. So overall, Torta Hills is definitely a success. At least as good as Buzzy Basin, if not better.